Alright boys, what's happening? Welcome back to another episode of F1 2021 My Team here on the channel. It is season 3. It is race 2 out of 16. If you're wondering why I've said 16 and not 23, we're not doing a full season for season 3. Go and check out the pre-season video if you haven't already to find out what the calendar looks like for this year and to see who our second driver is in the team if you don't know already. Make sure you check out the pre-season video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit like on this video as well. Can we hit 10 likes with it being the start of a brand new season? Try and get us to 10 likes on every video, boys. Let's try and hit 10 likes. As you can see, the vehicle comparison chart here, we have now overtaken Ferrari and are just behind McLaren. Well, according to this, actually, we're actually nowhere near those guys on the chart. You can see, well, that's according to Bahrain at least. We're nowhere near those guys, but according to the chart, it says that we should be better than Ferrari and just behind McLaren. It looks like Red Bull at the top there, absolutely running away in terms of performance. But we have 2 massive upgrades to come through, or 4 massive upgrades to come through still, I think, before we get to Imola, which is after the Chinese GP. Obviously, we do have a different calendar this year, and China makes its return to the Formula 1 calendar, the Shanghai International Circuit. I absolutely loved this circuit on F1 2020. So I'm really excited to drive it on F1 2021. This is going to be my first time driving the circuit in this qualifying session here. I didn't even practice. First time on this game driving the Shanghai International Circuit. Massive sweeping right-hander for turn 1, and then as you go downhill into turn 2, it's a massive sweeping left-hander. The tyres absolutely screaming, wanting to come off the car there through there. You get a nice little bit of a straight here. A little kink in it there, and then you head into a hairpin. Easier like to cool the tyres off through there because you get a little bit of a straight, but the tyres absolutely screaming through turn 1 and turn 2. You have a flat out left-hander here. We do have to lift a little bit. I don't know if you can take a flat out. I'm sure the F1 Esports pros probably take that flat out there. Getting the car all the way over to the right for this left-hander. We didn't manage to get it all the way to the right as much as I wanted to. And then we're bouncing over the curb there, losing a few tenths here and there, or a few hundredths of a second. But, you know, in qualifying, every hundredth and every thousandth of a second counts. Now, another sweeping right-hander, a bit of camber on the inside there as well. And then you head down a 1 kilometre straight. I think this is the longest straight out of any of the F1 circuits on the calendar. The Kemmel Straight in Spa is very long as well, but I think this one here is the longest out of all of the straights. Maybe even Mexico might be a bit longer, but we brake at the 100-metre board for the hairpin. Get the car rotated very nicely there, and then get on the throttle as well quite early into the final corner, dropping into 5th gear, keeping within track limits there, hitting the DRS zone, shortest run to the line, 6.6 tenths quicker than our previous lap. That puts us P14 for this lap, and then Latifi comes out of the pits there and ruins any chance of us going for a second push lap with limited time left in the session. So thanks for that, Nicholas Latifi. Yeah. So Michael Schumacher, the guy in our second seat, obviously the GOAT of Formula 1, P3 in Q1 there, absolutely massive. And the other GOAT of Formula 1, Lewis Hamilton, down in P11. What's going on with Lewis? He's only down in P11. That's massive. But boys, we do get through to Q2 for the second time in a row. Like I say, this is the second race of the season. If you haven't seen the first one, Bahrain on Monday, go and check that video out. After this one now, of course, you're too deep into this video to quit off it. It would hurt my video in the algorithm, and you don't want to do that, do you? So watch it after this video. I won't spoil what happens in that one for you, but get into Q2. We take a very nice line through turn 1. It's probably the nicest I've hit turn 1 this whole weekend in terms of qualifying and the race. 5.5 tenths up on our previous lap as we head down the straight. Now, I don't know what I was doing with the steering wheel there. I did like a zigzag on the straight into the hairpin now, down to 3rd gear. Get rotated, very nice and easy. I wonder if it was a setup issue. Maybe we could have took this left-hander flat out, but you can see we have to lift again there. I really want to see the F1 Esports. I know they did race at China this year, but it was wet, I do believe, for the whole race. Jarno Opmeer, I'm pretty sure, went from P16 to P1 in China, starting on the intermediate tyres when it was on full wet, when everyone else was on full wet. What a drive from Jarno there. Absolute hero, absolute idol. But speaking of absolute kings on this game, we are 1.5 or 1.3 seconds up on our previous lap. At 1:31.6, I don't know what happened on that previous lap. I don't know if I lifted off at some point and just coasted to cool the tyres down to go for another push lap or something. But yeah, we're 1.2 seconds up on our previous lap. Esteban Ocon with a 129.9 in P12 is the time that like the game wants us to try and beat. Coming through the hairpin there, slow on it on the entry, but we get a good exit, make up some time on the exit of the hairpin. And then as we cross the line with the DRS zone, we're going to be a whole 1.1 seconds faster. That only puts us up into P15. We improved by a whole second. It only puts us P15. Michael Schumacher, though, getting through to Q3 for the second time in a row in this stinky car that we've got. He's P6 in Q2. You absolutely love to see it. We're going to be P16. Mick Schumacher did actually improve. Let's get to the race, boys, and try and make up some places again.
It's time again, then, for Formula One in Shanghai. Northwest of this thriving city of over 24 million people is a circuit that first featured in the championship calendar back in 2004. And of course played host to Formula One's 1000th World Championship event in 2019. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3-mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles an hour, with DRS assisting the cars down the back straight before they brake into the sharp hairpin at turn 14. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1, so how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap, so always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Hamilton, Lando Norris and Ricciardo, Sainz, Michael Schumacher, Leclerc and Esteban Ocon, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, George Russell and Vettel, Mick Schumacher, the owner-driver, Lance Stroll and Yuki Tsunoda, Giovinazzi, Latifi, Tictum and Nikita Mazepin. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Well, boys, there you have the grid for the Chinese Grand Prix, and you've got to love, like I mentioned last time in Bahrain, you've got to love the consistency from Codemasters with the RNG, two Mercs, and then two McLarens, two Red Bulls, all next to each other, two Ferraris if it wasn't for our teammate Michael splitting them. Anyway, it is 5 red lights, and it is lights out, and away we go for the first time in a long time at the Shanghai International Circuit. We get off to a great start compared to Mick Schumacher behind us, but who's this up the middle? Is Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri from out of nowhere, coming up the middle of me and George Russell. He leaves a gap on the inside though, and I'm going to take that gap all day. I see the door open and I'm going to go for that, but we are going to be 3 abreast coming through turn 2. It's going to be me, Schumacher, and it's me, Russell actually, and Yuki Tsunoda. We get a lot of traction on the outside of the track there. Let's see a replay. You can see Yuki got absolutely sandwiched there by me and George. He was in the middle of a sandwich there on the faster medium tyres, but we're going to send one on Sebastian Vettel. There's not even time to think about that moment. We've absolutely sent one on Sebastian Vettel from way downtown. And have we made the pass on Vettel? I think we're going to make that stick. It's wheel to wheel with Sebastian. He manages to pull ahead there. But look at the traction we have on the outside. This is great racing. Wheel to wheel still. Sebastian trying to hang in there. We push him wide a little because our line goes wide. And it looks like as we hit the apex there, we're going to be ahead of Sebastian. What a start to the Chinese Grand Prix. Not even a time to think about that first incident. We can see a replay now coming through turn 1. Yuki leaves a gap up the inside, which I absolutely fly into. Me and George on the hard tyres, Yuki on the faster mediums. So I thought he would have had more grip there. Maybe that's why he was so much quicker off the start, actually. That makes a bit more sense now. But look at the grip we had on the outside of the track there. Absolutely catapulted round turn 2. And then up in front of George and Yuki. And what a send that is on Sebastian there. Great move from me late on the brakes, as late as I could probably get there, and then we're going to be racing wheel to wheel. This was great action here between me and Sebastian. Great clean racing, clean driving. This is how you do it, boys. Max and Lewis, take notes, because this is how you do it. Like, look at that. And we make the pass on Sebastian there up into P13. We are a champion of making up places on the opening lap of the race, up from P16 into P13. Now we are chasing down Fernando Alonso, the man who got a podium in Qatar last weekend. Absolutely love to see Fernando up on the podium, by the way. Let's see another replay of the start, but this is from Michael Schumacher's perspective. Let's see how Michael got on from the start. Obviously started in P8 and looks like he's going to stay in P8. He's going to be wheel to wheel though with Carlos Sainz coming through turn 1. He has the inside line. That is the same line that we had on the inside, and it was very beneficial for us as we had the outside line for turn 2. He's going to be wheel to wheel with Carlos there. It's great racing from the current Ferrari driver Carlos and an ex-Ferrari driver in Michael. We've both got the same Ferrari power unit in the car though. Wheel to wheel again. Who's going to be later on the brakes? It looks like it might just be Michael. He's edging ahead through the hairpin on the inside. It looks like Carlos has some traction on the outside though. It's going to be wheel to wheel again, just like me and Seb. It is wheel to wheel between Michael and Carlos. Great racing from 2 Ferrari drivers there, as you can see. And it looks like Carlos is just going to pull ahead of Michael. Great racing from those 2 there. Both heading on to lap 4 now. Not much has happened. We are still in a sandwich of my 2 favourite OG drivers, you know, Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel. When I first started watching this sport as a kid, or first got into it, and then I stopped watching it. But anyway, when I first watched this sport as a kid, you know, Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel were the 2 names that really stood out to me. You know, Vettel was winning everything at Red Bull. Fernando was in there as well. And I absolutely love these guys. So to see them still on the grid and performing to a high level, I mean, not the highest of levels. Aston Martin is quite stinky this year, let's be honest. But, you know, to see Vettel on podium this year in Baku, and then to see Fernando get one in Qatar, you know, it's been a great season in the Formula 1 in real life. Hopefully we can have a great season on the game here in Season 3. Speaking of which, if you are enjoying the season so far, we're only on the 2nd race, but if you want to see more, hit the like button. You know, it just shows me support and that you want to see these videos, and I'll keep, you know, it keeps me motivated to keep making them, boys. If you hit the like button and show support in the comments, it really does keep me motivated. But anyway, coming out of this right-hander now, Sebastian is going to have DRS down this massive 1 kilometre straight. I pull all the way to the inside. We're on the dirty part of the track. But, you know, I had to pull out of the slipstream, otherwise it would have been such an easy overtake for Sebastian. And now he only just passes us getting towards the hairpin there, and we absolutely jumped the curb. I'm not sure how legal that was of a move, but we are going to be ahead of Seb, even though he did overtake us there down the straight. We managed to get the place back, obviously through the inside over the hairpin. Now, Michael is in the pits on lap 5, so I thought he might have took up some damage or something like that, and he was changing his front wing, but he actually didn't. He just pit a lot earlier than everybody else, and maybe that was to do with, I don't know, his qualifying performance. Maybe he did a lot of laps on those soft tyres in Q2, and that's why he's had to pit earlier than everyone else. But that you can just see a replay there of the move on, of course, what's his name, Sebastian. I'm not sure how legal that is. Michael Massey might be taking a look at that one and handing out penalties, but I doubt it. But anyway, lap 5 here, we are in P12 currently. Esteban Ocon on soft tyres in the pits. Valtteri Bottas coming out of the pits on mediums. Daniel Ricciardo in the pits as well. We're going to overtake a lot of people in the pits here. Obviously, we are running the 1-stop. Let's see how effective the 1-stop is versus the 2-stop here in China. Obviously, in Bahrain, we know the 1-stop is better. Let's find out which is the best, you know, strategy here in China. And I'm definitely going to include China, boys, next year on the next season's calendar if we do make it there. Because I just really enjoyed driving this circuit, bro. I can't lie to you. It makes some good racing, good overtakes, and it's just really fun to drive. So, heading towards the end of lap 6 now. There's more people in the pits, as you can see. Gasly, Carlos, I think there's somebody else in there as well. Lewis just coming out, and Lando as well. We're going to overtake those guys. We're up into P4. Obviously, that's not a net P4 because we haven't pit yet. But it's still a nice place to be. Yuki Tsunoda, the man behind, is 1.2 seconds behind, out of DRS range. Very nice indeed here on lap 7. We're going to try and increase that gap as much as possible, but we obviously need to hold on with these tyres, because these tyres have to last a long time before we box for the mediums later on in the race. But boys, remember we did start P16 on the grid. Michael Schumacher is down in P14 because of course he has pit, but now we have Lewis Hamilton behind us, and just like last week in Bahrain, we should just let Lewis past us. Our race is not with Lewis, but I'm not going to cost myself time in this race to let Lewis pass. You know, if it's costing me time to defend him, I'll let him pass, but in terms of just letting him pass like Pierre Gasly did to Max Verstappen in Qatar, I'm not the type to do that, you know, unless it's my teammates, then I will do that. But down the 1 kilometre straight now, I'm sure Lewis is just going to have this pace to do that. You can see we turn the battery on there. You can see on the steering wheel, it goes green. We've put the overtake button on. And Lewis with DRS. And of course, he's probably using some of his battery as well. into the hairpin. Lewis on the hard tyres there. I think he started on the soft, so he's gone soft hard. I don't know if that's a strategy that can last the race, and that's what got me thinking now, boys. Should we try and extend our stint on these hard tyres, then go onto the soft towards the end of the race, if we can extend, this hard stint further? Pause. But I do remember watching Jarno Opmeer drive this circuit. I think it was in F1 Esports. And Jarno said, obviously Jarno, I take everything that Jarno says as gospel, as words of the Bible. As Valtteri Bottas makes a move up the inside there, not going to defend that. Our race is not with Mercedes, but we might try and send one on Bottas there. We had a little bit of an opening, but we don't decide to do it. Anyway, like I was saying, yeah, Jarno said that the soft tyres are a terrible race tyre around China. So I decided not to go with the softs, and we were just going to stick with that hard medium strategy, which you'll see once we get to the pit stop window later on in the race. And of course that makes sense, that the soft tyres wouldn't be that good through turn 1 and turn 2, the sweeping left and sweeping right. I can imagine the tyres to be screaming, and those obviously the tyres heat up a lot, which increases the deg of the tyres, and I can imagine those soft tyres really wanting to come off the car. And here's Lando Norris trying to make a move through turn 2 there. We managed to stay ahead of Lando, but Lando's showing some great pace as well. Now, on the vehicle comparison chart, I'm pretty sure it said that McLaren, that we are better than Ferrari, and McLaren are just better than us. So we should both be better than Ferrari. And as you can see, they're both red cars. I was going to say Red Bulls, but it's not Red Bull. They're just red cars. The Ferrari, Sainz and Leclerc down in P10 and P11. But of course, running an alternate strategy to many other people on the grid. Fernando Alonso, I've just realised, actually leading this race here in China. Fernando Alonso on lap 10 is leading. You absolutely love to see that. Shout out to Fernando. Like I say, absolutely love Fernando Alonso. El Plan came together this weekend, and he got the podium in P3. Boys, I was actually proper made up to see Fernando on the grid there, on the podium even. But there's a lovely back shot pause of Daniel Ricciardo behind us. He's going to have DRS down this straight. Lando Norris in front of us has made an overtake. We didn't have DRS, and it's going to be the two McLarens wheel to wheel through the hairpin. Daniel Ricciardo around the outside of me, and Lando making a double overtake at the end of the straight there. We make a bit of contact with the rear end of Lando, pause, but we take no damage, thankfully. And then the two McLarens race off ahead, and they're going to be wheel to wheel going through turn 1, boys. The McLarens getting very racy. You absolutely love to see it. I can't remember what his name is. Zach Brown, is it? The team principal. Obviously letting them race here. Don't normally see that. Ricciardo having a little wobble coming out to turn 2, and Lando is going to be ahead. What racing that is from the two McLarens there. Now we are back down this back straight, and Carlos Sainz has made up a lot of places, and Sainz is the man chasing us down on this straight now. I felt like for the whole race I was never getting DRS on anyone, but everyone else was getting it on me, and it's just a bad place to be in. You can just feel the car behind you like closing as quick as possible. Like, I think the average time gain on that straight is 3.5 tenths or something, depending on how good of a slipstream you get, and then how much battery you use. You can make up 4 tenths on that straight on another car in front. But through turn 1, Carlos makes a very nice overtake, and I have to hold my hands up on that one and say nice move from Carlos Sainz there. Now I'm just trying to hold on to these tyres and push them to the pit window so we can get onto those mediums. Of course, Mick's dad is still in P12. He can't seem to get past Yuki Tsunoda, which is not good for our race, and down the straight again, like I mentioned, people just getting DRS on me and me never getting it on people. Charles Leclerc in the other Ferrari is going to try and overtake. I'm going to go late on the brakes into the hairpin there, almost contact with Charles Leclerc. Yeah, that was an ambitious move from me. Could have gone a bit later on the brakes maybe, but it just didn't seem to work out for me, and down this straight now we have DRS on Leclerc. It's not going to matter too much, but Michael is up into P11. He's finally made it past Yuki Tsunoda, and as we come through this left-hander we run a bit wide, and I see the proximity arrow shows Michael getting a bit close there, and I decided to pull to the side here to let Michael get past. I come off the throttle. As you can see, no point racing with our teammate Michael, because I know he's faster than us. You saw in quali that he's faster than us around here, so hopefully we've gave him some free air. He can go down now and chase down Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz in the Ferraris and try and make up some more places for us, get some more points for us as a team. because you know we're on a different strategy. We're on dying hard tyres. There's no point racing our teammates because it's just going to cost the team, and we both finish outside the points possibly. So we let Michael pass there, as you can see. I'm not too sure what lap we do actually pit on. I think lap 15 might be the window, and then going on to the medium tyres. But here we go actually on lap 16, so we haven't came in yet. We go wide through turn 1 again. Fernando Alonso getting very racy up the inside there through turn 1. Absolutely great racing through turn 1 and turn 2 in China. You know, you can go wheel to wheel. And sometimes it gets a bit too close to comfort, as Sebastian Vettel will tell you with Danny Kvyat, the torpedo. But yeah, we managed to not make any contact there with Fernando, who, like I say, was leading the race at one point on medium tyres, I think, and now he's boxed for the hards, which isn't a good sign for me, because if Fernando's already made a pit stop and he's only 2 tenths behind, where are we going to come out after we box for mediums? So I think lap 16, this one that we're on now, is actually the lap that we are going to box on, but you can just see how close Alonso is. And as we approach the DRS zone, it's going to be deja vu, and it's going to be, you know, the usual script probably that we've seen a million times this race already. And I love how, like, you can see the stands there. Obviously that'd be full of fans if it was open. I think that's the stands there that we just seen with all the writing on. It just looks so cool, this circuit. Very nice racetrack indeed. Anyway, Fernando in the slipstream, DRS, probably using battery, probably didn't even have to use battery actually, heading down into the braking point for the hairpin. We go a bit later on the brakes, you can see a bit of contact there again, no damage though, thankfully for that. And Michael comes into the pits again. There's going to be a few more people pitting. Let's see how powerful this one stop is, as Fernando is on the one stop, as you can tell, as you can see. And now we're going to box. We probably should have boxed on lap 16 there. I could have had a little go off Fernando up the inside, but that would have been a very dangerous and very risky move. Might have cost us the race there if Fernando just turned into our side pod. And I don't think I could have got the rotation in the car, send them on up the inside there. Fernando would have just got a better line and overtook us anyway, so we backed out of that one there. But we're up into P7, Fernando up in P6. Now the car behind is Valtteri, he is 3.2 behind, and Charles Leclerc is out of the session, boys. Like I mentioned, in Bahrain, we didn't go with the Honda engine, we didn't go with the Renault. Both of them blew up in Bahrain in Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez's car. So I was all smug thinking, yeah, the Ferrari is the way to go. And Charles Leclerc actually retires from the race with, of course, the Ferrari engine in his car. So that is not a good sign for me and Haas as Ferrari engine units, you know, in our car. Anyway, we come out to the pits now. George Russell and Gasly also pit behind us. We're going to come out to the pits, boys, here in P10. So that just shows you the one stop is so powerful. And a bit of an overcut, I guess. You know, we stayed out till lap 18 for the pit stop. 2.1 seconds, I think, on the pit stop it was. But yeah, we're in P10, so that's obviously 1 point up from P6 on the grid. That's actually a good place to be, and I'd take that. You can see Michael is 23 seconds ahead of us, absolutely flying ahead, but Mick is nearly 5 seconds behind.
Just yet, but we've seen a problem at our end. We're looking into it.
And that is not what we like to hear, boys. Jeff has got on the radio saying that they can see a problem on their end. Maybe it's the same problem that they saw with Charles Leclerc's Ferrari power unit, and they're just double checking our power units to make sure the same thing doesn't happen. Of course, with Charles having to retire from the race could be catastrophic if that happens to us as well. And I checked the vehicle condition there to see if Jeff has anything to say, but he doesn't at that moment in time.
Okay, we have a severe engine issue. Find a safe space to retire or return to the pits. I repeat, find somewhere to retire immediately. It's too dangerous to stay on track.
And boys, on lap 24 of 28 in the Chinese Grand Prix, our first return to China this year, and it's going to be a retirement on lap 24 out of 28. Our engine is completely gone, as you've seen there. We have had engine failure, so I was all smug last week in Bahrain, like, yes, I've picked the right engine, no problems here. And 2 Ferrari units have to retire from the Chinese GP. Maybe it's something to do with the circuit and the way the car interacts, the powertrain, I don't know. But we have to retire from the Grand Prix there, and it's very unfortunate. It would have been a nice 3 points for the team, with Michael getting P9 and us getting P10, if that's the way things did stay. We would have got driver of the day as well, back to back, which would have picked up some money from the sponsors, because we were up from P6 into P10, a 6th place gain, and you'll see in a moment that was actually going to be the highest thing. I think Yuki Tsunoda got driver of the day, and you'll see in a moment how ridiculous that sounds. But Max Verstappen picking up another win. That's back-to-back wins here on the season already for Max. It's going to be Checo in P2 and Lewis in P3. Looking like Red Bull and Mercedes might run away with it this season. Yet again, we need to upgrade our car ASAP and try and catch up to these guys, and try and bring the fight to them, you know. We have a few tracks coming up, which I'm really good at. Canada, Baku, France. But then we have 2 tracks next on the calendar which I've never had a race around before, Imola and Portimao. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens this season, boys. It's going to be really, really fun. Michael finishing in P8 there, so we actually made up another place, picking up another 4 points for the team. And just unfortunate that we couldn't finish in that P10 spot and pick up another point for the team. Would have been very nice. But speaking of RNG, 2 Red Bulls, 2 Mercs, 2 McLarens, would have been 2 Ferraris if Leclerc didn't retire. But yeah, so Michael finishing P8, starting P8, not too bad. He got held up for a long time behind Yuki Tsunoda as well. Yuki up from P18 to P16, and he got driver of the day for that 2-place game. Just yeah, not fun at all, having to retire from that race there on lap 24 out of 28. Been sat there for 40 minutes driving a car just after retire from the race. But that is the beauty of this game. Absolutely love the fact that that can happen, you know, because it feels like all the hard work was for nothing. But it's a really cool, random, interesting feature to happen. So we got a department thing here for event. If we accept it, we got a 50% discount on the brake upgrade. So I went ahead and did that. You can see it was our energy store that actually failed, which is absolutely massive because you only get 2 energy stores to start the season, which means we're definitely going to have to take an engine penalty sometime in this season. I'm not sure when we will take that. I might look around France to take the grid penalty there and get another engine store in. But we have some upgrades come through there. As you can see, we have another failure though. We've maxed out our drag reduction. We have maxed out our rear downforce. Our front downforce upgrade did fail, unfortunately, and we won't get that until after Imola now, which is an absolutely massive upgrade. I wish we could have got that before Imola. But our weight redistribution upgrade has now came through, and our weight reduction is maxed out. Tyre wear nearly maxed out. We're going to pick up this brakes upgrade here. We have the best chassis on the grid now according to the vehicle comparison chart. We're going to get the brake upgrade before Portimao, and we do have the second best car on the grid according to the vehicle comparison chart, even better than Mercedes. As you've seen as we were going through the parts there, we have now the best aero package, we have the best chassis. We're lacking for power a bit in that engine. But boys, next race in Imola, my first time racing around Imola. I've done a track guide on the channel for this circuit and it's got a lot of views, so I should try and be as good as I can around this track, and with the upgraded car, let's see if it makes any difference and we can actually make it to Q3 for the first time in nearly 2 seasons. Find out in the next episode, boys. If you have enjoyed this one, like, comment, share and subscribe. You know the vibes. I will catch us next time. Take it easy.